And the thing for me as well is I watch so many bad TV shows. I don't watch good TV shows. I watch bad TV shows. Because
You've been watching more Bones, Karl.
I've been watching more Bones, and I even wrote an article. I've got an article I'm going to write about it tomorrow to justify all the time I spent watching it, so I can talk about it in a video.
So I've been watching all this Bones to write an article. Honest.
No, it's just when it's in my head.
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
I've got it in my head, so I might as well write an article about it. So when we turn it into a video, I can talk about it and make jokes and things like that. But me and my girlfriend also started rewatching Criminal Minds from the second or third season after they got rid of the boring guy in the first season. And my God, that show is fucking incredible. Really? It's good to watch after Bones.
Oh, okay.
And they're two police procedurals, and if people don't know the basic premise. I always say premise, and I don't know why. So it's because for many years I only saw that word written down, never heard it spoken out loud. So that's hard to unlearn. But yeah, the basic premise of Bones is it's an anthropologist who studies bones, and they go to murder scenes and they study the bones to solve the crime. And then Criminal Minds is its behavioural analysis, who will analyse and get into the head of a serial killer, usually an active one, to stop them, generally before they kill again, or if they have someone kidnapped or something like that. So there's but the basic premise of each is people solve crimes, but in Bones they break so many fucking laws, and I think we talked about it at the end of another podcast.
Yeah, I think we did.
Where they are just constantly just pulling out their gun and pointing it at innocent people. And there's another, and one of my least favourite tropes, especially now, given the current climate regarding the police, is interrogating people without a lawyer, and then the main character giving them shit for asking for a lawyer and acting like, oh no, why are you asking for a lawyer? That's really specific. No, fuck, because me and my girlfriend, every time that happens, go, no, fuck the cops, get a lawyer.
Yeah, 100%. Don't talk to the cops without a lawyer at all.
And there are multiple points in that show where I've just seen something happen and go, okay, that case is getting thrown out of court. Stuff like walking into where evidence is being collected and picking up evidence with their bare hands. Instantly, that evidence is now completely useless, and there's a concept in law known as fruit of the poison tree, I think it is, or something like that. Or poison fruit basically just means that any evidence collected that is bad, for whatever reason, all other evidence collected by the person who did it or that they handled is also inadmissible. Which is basically every single thing they have, because everything they touch and everything they do is one person.
So, because they improperly handled this piece of evidence,
everything they touch,
to suggest they wouldn't improperly handle other pieces of evidence.
And they even have one court case where they're talking about that, and it comes up where a dude turns out, oh, wait a minute, do one of the people who work in your lab, do they know the victim? And he's on the stand and he goes, yes, I know the victim, because you have a clear conflict of interest. So we can't let them, they have to discard all the evidence. And yet, despite that, they continually just fuck with evidence. And in one show, one of the guys gets arrested for being a serial killer, and then they bring him back in to help them solve another crime. It's imagine being in court, that's a slam dunk for the opposing lawyer. You got a guy who's in a mental institution for killing somebody to help you solve this case. It's obvious we can't trust their input.
No, but Karl, serial killers know about serial killers the best.
But then we're watching Criminal Minds, and just the basic stuff they do, they walk into, say, okay, this is the suspect's trailer. Immediately, everyone's wearing gloves. Straight away, and it's just this little thing that's holy shit, they're all wearing gloves. All of them are wearing gloves. And then there's a bit where, if you know Criminal Minds, the Spencer character, Spencer Reed, he's the nerdy one, where he's not really an FBI agent, he's more of an academic. There's a bit where they go to confront a guy with a gun, and he's just not there. And me and my girlfriend both went out, oh, he's not there. It's yeah, of course, because he's not licensed to carry a gun. Why would you bring the guy who doesn't have a gun to the dangerous situation where he might have to have a gun? And also, the moment that any guns might be there, everyone's wearing a flak jacket with FBI written on the front in massive letters.
Right, yeah.
And they always announce their presence when they walk through doors and stuff like that. And then you go back to watching Bones, because I'm watching them both concurrently. And you have the FBI agent kicking down people's doors, not announcing that he's FBI and pointing a gun at someone. Oh my God. It's what are you doing?
The question is, Karl, are you going to, complete the trifecta, merge the two, and just go and watch Dexter at the same time?
Oh, man, that'd piss me off. But then again, he's supposed to be a shitbird who's, spoiling evidence and stuff.
Yeah. And I've not rewatched it in a long time, but I'm sure there's plenty of things similar to Bones where they just probably go and ruin like crime scenes and shit, and it's not accurate. And I don't think there's that many TV shows in terms of like, you know, crime procedurals that probably do it accurately.
But it's just little things like picking up evidence without gloves.
That's such a basic one. Like, everybody knows that, don't they?
And then letting people who aren't FBI agents sitting on interrogations. Like stuff like that. Or just roughing people up in interrogations. Immediately, that is like, that case is thrown out of court.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy's been fired. And the one thing that's really weird, though, is that, like, just in specific regards to the character of Bones, like, she's supposed to be, like, completely oblivious to pop culture. Speaking of, the person's like, I've never seen this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it gets to a point where it's farcical, the things that this character claims not to know. Like, because she is a writer and an anthropologist, and there's an episode where she quotes Shakespeare and says, and I quote, "That's from a writer called Shakespeare, I think," as if she's never heard of Shakespeare. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. She's never heard of Shakespeare because she's a professional writer with like 3 books under her belt, but she's never heard of Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, that guy that, you know, isn't very famous for writing or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, you went to fucking school, didn't you?
And she pretends not to know who he is. And it's like that thing of, I've never heard of Shakespeare. And she's never seen any TV show or any movie ever released. She's never heard.
I got taught about Shakespeare when I was about 10 years old in school.
Even just by pop culture osmosis, she'd know who the fuck he is.
Yeah.
And it's just farcical, the amount of things that she claims not to know because she was too busy, you know, being like all wonderful and solving crimes around the world. It's like, even then,
boning it all. Yeah.
That's basically what she's doing, yeah. And it's infuriating, but I can't stop watching it. I can't stop watching it, Lucas. Please help me. There's so many other good shows I could be watching right now, and I'm still watching Bones.
Oh, God. Like, generally speaking, when it comes to TV, like, I try to, you know, unlike my gaming habits of I've shotgunned everything all at once.
You just zero in on one thing, don't you?
Well, no, I tend to like have a methodology around it of like, okay, so here's the trash TV option where it's like, we can pause this at any point. We can walk out, clean up the dishes and whatnot, go to the toilet without caring, like pause the episode halfway through and go on with our day. Then we do like, the thing we're fine of watching one episode of currently, like The Mandalorian. Like, okay, well, if we've got 30 minutes, we can watch one episode, move on. And then there's like the one where we know we need a couple of hours to sink into it because we're going to get hooked, which has been for a while One Piece, because you don't watch like one episode of an anime.
Yeah. So happened with my girlfriend when she was watching Demon Slayer, and I kind of watched it in the background while it was on. It's like, that is some damn good anime. But those 20-minute episodes, though.
Yeah.
Those 20-minute episodes and those 5-minute recaps, you can't watch just one.
No, you can't. And that's the thing is, like, you've got to... Like, we can't compartmentalize like our TV viewing of we normally have 3 things going on at a time and like one of each category so that we know like how much time we've got and how much commitment we need to put in.
For me, Bones.
Just Bones. Bones.
Always Bones. It's because I like watching. I don't like, but one of the things I enjoy doing is just keeping up with things that are generally known to culture. So I've recently rewatched all of The Office, just so that I have that baseline knowledge of The Office, because it's something that is culturally relevant and a lot of people online like, know, and talk about a lot. So I wanted to be able to get those references and be able to discuss it if it ever comes up, because it's popular, and especially like making content for a living. Like we've made a couple of videos about The Office, and they've done quite well. So I feel like I need to have that base level of just knowledge about it to be able to discuss it with any level of authority. And also, it's just a fun show to pick apart.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things, isn't it? Of like similar to Friends, where people are still talking about that and going to be talking about it for a while, like
for a very long time. Yeah, it's
worth, as you say, keeping that baseline knowledge, but also they're fun on rewatches to, as you say, pick apart and go, hang on, these were being written like an episode at a time or a season at a time without people really thinking about the consequences and the amount of like retold jokes and changes of characters and stuff. It's ridiculous.
And then as well, like the wider implications stuff, like that exact discussion we just had about Bones. Not really discussion, just me proselytizing to you, like Bones sucks, but I can't stop watching it. Yeah. Like those little things that where if you apply some real world real world rules to it, like they completely fall apart, or like the wider implications of the things people are doing are fucking horrifying. Mm-hmm. Like the whole like relationship between Jim and Pam is like a horrible, horrible relationship to see unfold. But it's so often portrayed and it's like idealized in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it's like, oh, look at these cute things that they do for each other. And it's like, they just made a life-changing decision without consulting their partner. Like, they just, like, buy a house. It's like, a surprise! I spent all my money and bought us a house that I didn't consult you on.
Isn't that great? Isn't that romantic? Like, not really now.
What? You did fucking what? Sorry? It's like, oh no, it's really cute and romantic. It's like, no, that is not.
That's an awful thing to do. Never
That's
do that.
An awful decision.
Don't surprise people with a fucking, hey, here's a 30-year millstone that I'm going to put around your neck. Isn't that fun? Aren't you a fan of that? It's like, oh no.
Christ. And just like, the amount of times they do it where it's like, Jim puts like all of the investment money in. Like, he goes to the maximum amount of money because he felt a little bit socially pressured.
To do it, yeah.
And Pam's like, you spent all of it. It's like, did you even, like, question how much they'd put in? Well, no, I just felt a bit pressured, so we gave them all more money. It's like, Jim? Like, what are you doing, man?
That's our nest egg for our future.
Yeah. And without question, he just goes, take it all. Yeah.
Yep, I had to do that.
I feel a bit awkward. Here's 10 grand.
It's all the money I've got, but whatever. And then just like all the little things about just Michael Scott. I hate that character so much. And watching that show as well, I fucking hate him. And whenever like you see discussions, I'm like, oh, he's a great boss. I actually like Mike. It's like, no, he's awful.
Yeah,
he is one of the worst characters in like a realistic. No, he's not realistic. Air quotes here, like show. Like it's not like a fantasy show or anything like that. No, this is like
no. It tries to portray it as like semi-realism or realism. Yeah,
it's an elevated version of reality, but like, there's still that element of realism to it. And he's a horrendous human being, and every time he's on screen, he pisses me off.
And the weird thing is, like, I kind of agree with you for the most part, but like, I still enjoy watching that show.
Oh yeah,
and I will binge that show, and I'm like sitting there going, like, this show isn't good, but I guess it is because I continue to watch it.
Yeah. It's like when you rewatch Friends and you hate Ross. And you just like viewing Friends with a modern lens. It's weird to think like The Office, like it's only a couple of years old at this point, but it still has a lot of problematic elements.
I think it's about 10 years old now or something. I can't quite put the nail on there. Like, I'll fact check for us.
And then Friends is like 20, like 25. But like to view some of the stuff that happens, like viewing the relationship between Ross and Rachel with a modern lens, because my girlfriend had never seen Friends, and we rewatched that last year.
Oh, really?
And she was just astounded at just how bad some of the characters in it are. Mm-hmm. Like, especially like the way that everyone treats Ross's ex because she's gay, and just the fact they're constantly belittling her relationship because she's a lesbian. It's like, fuck you. Mm-hmm. It's like, how about Ross, you fuck off.
Yeah, oh god, I have just double checked for us. The Office came out in the first episode was like March 2005. Then Friends is like September 1994.
Okay, yes, that's like
so Friends is coming on like 30 years old, and people are still constantly rewatching it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, just like watching it with that modern lens and just seeing like how bad some of the things are in it, especially like stuff like the stuff in regards to Chandler's dad.
Yeah,
that's really like, bad.
Aged very poorly, and I don't like the people who were sitting there going like, Friends should never be watched. It's a horrible TV show. It's like, no, it was a product of the times, and watching it like with the lens of like hindsight is still, it can be enjoyable, and it's probably like semi-educational to watch something like that.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this before. I think it was like the Borderlands playthrough, where I don't think you should ever remove these things from viewing. You should put them out, and because I think they're doing something similar with a lot of the old movies now that have like got problematic elements in them. I think it was TCM doing it, where it's And we're going to host a showing of this movie or old TV show in its entirety, but we're going to bring on an expert, an academic, to talk about why it's problematic and the history behind it and why sensibilities have changed.
Yeah.
And that's in the same way they do things like Mein Kampf, where you can't buy a copy of just Mein Kampf. You can only buy a copy that has academics tearing it apart. I want that with these old shows.
Yeah, totally.
And as well, I don't think that the people who made those shows should be able to just remove them, because that means that they stop being talked about, and that's not fair. Because they need to fucking own that. We
mentioned that, I say, in the Borderlands thing, because someone was like, oh, there was a bad episode of Scrubs that they've apologised for, but they've just removed it.
No, I don't like that they get to do that.
They shouldn't be able to do that, but as you say, there should be, a discussion and a content warning and stuff like that. It's they shouldn't just be able to go, well, that doesn't exist anymore, because
that's the easy way out.
We wrote a problematic episode. It's like...
if you are truly sorry for it, then you should explain why. And also, if you are sorry, you shouldn't feel or get annoyed when it gets brought up. And the idea I had is, say, for example, I think it's like 30 Rock, where they have 3 episodes with Yellowface. I think just every time Tina Fey does an interview, just put those screenshots behind her. Don't even need to bring them up, just put them behind her. And if she asks you to take them down, say, well, why? You made the show. You thought it was a good idea. Let's have a look, 5 years ago? What's changed? And they have to give you an actual good answer rather than I was pressured to do it. Because something similar to happened today with Hank Azaria, who voiced Apu in The Simpsons. And do you remember all the rigmarole around that of I think it was the problem with Apu by a American Indian comedian just talking about Apu's a shit character. Especially if you're Indian, because if you're Indian, that's pretty much the only representation you got in the 90s.
Definitely. It's mainstream for sure, yeah. And
it's a horrible racist stereotype. And I think Simpsons creator Matt Groening had a really poor response to it. He said something wishy-washy of it's we'll get rid of it or whatever. But people today just do sense. Something along those lines. And then the show itself has Lisa Simpson, of all characters, just make a mocking reference to it. They're sometimes you just need to move on, and they look at a picture of Apu who's not been in an episode in 3 years.
Right.
And then Hank Azaria, the guy who voices Apu, has recently talked about how he was someone it was at an event, and a kid came up to him and just started crying. An Indian kid is I get made fun of with the character. People do the Apu voice at me all the time. And he says being confronted by that made him feel so bad that he personally feels so responsible. He sometimes just goes up to people who we can see recognize it and apologizes for it.
Oh, right.
And he says, I feel like I should personally apologize to every Indian person that I meet because it's fucking awful.
Yeah, and I think back to when I was younger and Simpsons was popular, still is popular, but popular with the children that were in my school and stuff at the time.
Yeah.
And I think, there were not even necessarily Indian people, but just a lot of Asian people getting mocking Apu voices thrown their way.
Yeah.
And it's God, yeah, that must have been bad. And the fact that it was one of the most popular TV shows in the world for years at the time.
And it's still one of the most popular TV shows ever. It's going to be Golden Age Simpsons will last longer than almost any piece of pop culture ever created.
Well, the TV show is 30 years old as it is.
Yeah, and it's still going. But the idea that Hank Azaria is he's fucking held his hands up and gone, yeah, it's shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad thing, and I'm apologising, and I will hold my hands up to it. And it's I make no fucking excuses for what I did.
Yeah, it's a bad part of a great TV show.
And it's great as well, because whenever you bring stuff like this, this happened earlier in the chat, we were talking about not even criticising anything in particular, saying remove it. Just said if you view Friends with a modern lens, it's it's problematic elements. The guy's Friends isn't bad. It's just that people are extremely sensitive. Says the guy who immediately responded with that when we're having a perfectly reasonable discussion where we're not getting angry about it. Who's the sensitive one?
Yeah.
That's always the case, isn't it?
I actually saw a thing getting shared around, and it was this fucking incredible post of a bunch of problematic Looney Tunes stereotype characters.
That was so many.
there's a lot of them, but it was like, clearly something like a boomer had made of them all putting their middle fingers up and going like, fuck off you snowflakes or something like that. It's like, oh, so us pointing out how bad those stereotypes are, like, we're the ones being snowflakes when you need to make posts like that because you're offended about people getting offended.
Also, why do you feel the need to defend the cartoon character who does not exist rather than the people whose existence is being belittled and marginalised by that cartoon character? And the only one of them as well that's not is apparently, because have you ever heard about just Latin America and their just love of Speedy Gonzales?
No.
Because Speedy Gonzales, you'd think, at the first glance, he looks like a really offensive stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's a deliberate just reversal of the really awful lazy Mexican stereotype. Like he's the opposite of that because he's a very energetic Mexican character, or Latin character, and apparently every time they try and just stop making Speedy Gonzales cartoons, people in Latin America are like, no, Speedy Gonzales is fucking awesome. He's a cultural icon, and they love him.
Fair enough, yeah.
And it's similar to because one of the arguments we bring back to the Simpsons, you'll always see when people try and make false equivalencies. It's like, well, what about the character of Groundskeeper Willie? Isn't he just an offensive stereotype? It's like, no, because Scottish people fucking love him. Because he has one of the greatest quotes ever, which is Scots are natural enemies. Brothers and sisters are natural enemies, like Scots and the Japanese, or Scots and the Americans, or Scots and other Scots. Those damn Scots, they ruined Scotland. That's one of the best quotes ever. And I don't think I know a Scottish person who doesn't fucking love that character.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? Of it becomes a offensive stereotype when people start taking offense to it.
Yeah, plus as well, I feel like a lot more of Groundskeeper Willie is done with love.
And
as well, the stereotypes are so broad as to just border on farcical. Whereas you look at Apu and what are the things they do with him? So he works in a convenience store despite having a computer degree from MIT, and the joke is it's the Mumbai Institute of Technology. Also, then he has a really long, difficult to pronounce last name that's not at all representative of what an Indian last name would be like. He's servile almost to an almost a gross degree.
Well, pretty much anything that happens, isn't it? Of he'll get held up at a gun store at gunpoint in his store, and then just be like, "Oh, thank you, come again."
All the time.
No, no. Please stop.
One of the things I found really funny about watching some old Simpsons through is that they have an episode, which I think it's actually called Krusty Gets Cancelled, maybe.
I do remember Krusty Gets Cancelled, yeah.
I think that's the one where he goes on stage and he does a horrible, mocking, racist imitation of an Asian person.
Mm-hmm.
And he's rightfully called out for it by other comics who are at this comedy event he's at. And he realises that, oh man, relying on just mocking stereotypical humour that belittles other races is not the way to, make comedy these days.
Yeah.
2 episodes later in that very same season, they have Apu's wedding episode.
Oh, God.
Which is an episode centering around Apu, a mocking racist stereotype. It's they had no self-awareness about it.
No, and it's just... It is baffling, isn't it? But again, as you say, there's a big difference between him and, say, Groundskeeper Willie, where it's but Groundskeeper Willie is constantly shown as being this angry Scot, but he's also a ripped badass.
Yeah.
And he he'll grease himself up and shoot down those vents, whereas Apu's just there's nothing really redeeming about him.
No, he's often used as a punchline. Groundskeeper Willie as well, but just the jokes that he has are less about his culture and more about the character they established. Well, at least he has one. Whereas Apu didn't really have a character until later seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's it's a shame as well because early Simpsons is so good, and it's really oh god, I accidentally maximized my screen. It's a shame for me as well knowing that the people who wrote the episodes and the creator of the show itself are really unapologetic about that, whereas Hank Azaria is very clearly been confronted by the repercussions of voicing that character for so long, and he feels really bad about it.
Mm-hmm.